I wanted to share this because in struggling with these papaya trees to try to protect the fruit from that very, very persistent fruit fly, I tried so many things. Well, first of all, I went onto YouTube and saw what everybody else was doing. And I tried some of their suggestions, which may have worked for them, but it sure didn't work for me. One of them was paper bags. No way I could keep up with paper bags on these fruits because it rains and there's wind. How am I going to keep the paper bags on there? Somebody else was using nylon stockings. That's probably a pretty decent idea, but I couldn't afford to go out and buy a whole bunch of nylon stockings. There's over 100 papayas on this one tree alone. I have 16 trees. That wasn't going to be practical. And then I thought, well, let me make little cloth bags. So I went ahead and I made 100 little cloth bags with drawstrings, like little pouches. And I was up on the ladder, the neighbors were watching me, laughing their heads off, putting these little bags on each little papaya with enough room for it to grow. But that didn't work because the fruit fly stung right through the bag. Caught that in time so that they didn't ruin all the fruit. And then I thought, well, somebody else on YouTube was suggesting wax paper. So I said, all right, I'll line the bags with wax paper. So that's what I did. I took all the bags off, put the wax paper in, stuck them all back on. That kind of worked, actually. But what I found was that other kinds of bugs were getting in there, like those mealybugs that get in there, and they were ruining the fruit. There's a kind of mealybug that really likes papayas. It can attack them when they're real small, their leaves. I took the bags off, and it was a little messy in there, but I managed to save the fruit on the tree. Since the bags with the wax paper wasn't working all that well, I went ahead and tried using plastic wrap. I was a little hesitant because it's kind of snug. It fits kind of snug, and maybe it was going to smother the little fruits, or I didn't know what was going to happen. Maybe they couldn't breathe. They'd start to rot under the plastic wrap. What are you going to do? I have to do something. And it worked, actually. They liked, believe it or not, those little papaya fruits, they really liked being snuggled up in that plastic wrap. It wasn't the easiest thing to do on a ladder, 15 feet in the air in the wind, trying to cut and wrap something with plastic wrap. Got away with it. And there's still close to 100 fruits on the tree, all wrapped in plastic wrap. The neighbors are all watching all this. They're just laughing their heads off. They're driving by, and I can hear them laughing now. So that stayed like that for like maybe a week or two. As the fruits grew, they got bigger and bigger. They started to stretch the plastic wrap, and it was tearing. So those fruit flies, they were going to be interested again because now they had a way to access the fruit. They had to do something else. I thought, plastic produce bags. They're big. I could tie them at the top, and as the fruit grew and expanded, it would just fill up the little bag. So that's what I did, and that's my final solution. It works really good. I make a little hole in one of the corners of the produce bag because sometimes if it rains, the water does get in there. It trickles down through and it gets in, and the little bag fills up with water. So with the hole in the bottom, it just drains right out. But there's no way the fruit fly can get in with a tiny little hole for drainage in the bottom of this big produce bag. And so that they're not unsightly, I tuck the excess up underneath the fruit. The fruit's really heavy. You tuck it under there, and the fruit just sits on it and holds the excess. But as it needs it, it releases, and it gets bigger and bigger inside the bag. So that was what I wanted to share, if maybe help somebody else. You don't have to go through what I went through with that. This particular tree is about 2 years old, and this is its harvest. And these fruits on the counter here, these are the first two fruits. They're kind of green right now, but they're starting to change colors. Just sitting there on the counter for a day or two, they'll ripen up sitting there and they'll turn orange. And that's it. So I hope that helps somebody.